Hello guys, welcome for our discussion for today, which is lesson 1 of module 1, entitled Engineering and Economics. So first let's discuss first engineering. What is engineering? Engineering is a profession in which a knowledge of the mathematical and natural sciences gained by the study, experience, and practice is applied with judgment to develop ways to utilize economically the materials and forces of nature for the benefits of mankind. Okay? So, engineers are the people in charge in making ways to use available materials effectively, efficiently, and economically to make life easier. So, hindi basta to make life easier. Kailangan may mga i-consider kang factors, mura ba siya, economic considerations, effective ba siya, efficient ba siya, ganyan. So, that is our job in the field, okay? Next, so how do engineers do it? We have what we call engineering process. So sa engineering process, we have the first step, which is the determination of objectives. Of course, you have to identify the problem and the objective first of the plan. Ano bang objective natin? Syempre to solve the problem, pero ano yung specific objective, 'di ba? And then, you have to identify the strategic factors. When we say strategic factors, those are the things that your organization or business unit needs to get right in order or to succeed. Or basically to meet the objectives you have formulated earlier. So, ano ba yun? Customers, pwede, suppliers, employees, owners, partners. So, ano ba yung mga nakakaapekto dun sa objectives na yon na kailangan mong i-consider. Next is the determination of means. How how will you do it? Anong means? After you have identified the factors to consider, kailangan mong i-determine the possible ways to meet your objective. Paano mo mamimit sa objective? Paano mo masasatisfy yung strategic factors na in-identify mo? Yon. So, you should have to formulate the alternative plans. Ano yung plan A mo, plan B, plan C, plan D. Kailangan may mga alternatives kaya hindi pwedeng isang plano lang. And then, next is to evaluate the engineering proposals. Yung plano na gawa mo sa step 3, i-evaluate mo ngayon. Ang tawag doon is engineering proposals, yung alternatives na finormulate mo. Evaluate, ano ba yung mas maganda? Ito ba, ano bang mangyayari kapag si plan A ang ginawa? Ano yung outcome? Ano kaya yung effect? Makakamura ba? Yung plan B ba, pag mahal, mas matagal bang magagamit? Ganon. So, may mga factors to consider. And then, assistance in decision making. So, hindi naman pwede na ikaw lang ang magde-decide. You have to consult the owner, the experts, ganyan. So, kumbaga, ang decision making hindi pwedeng isa lang. You have to talk with the management or the planning members. So, yun. That's how engineers do it in the field. Next is, let's define engineering economics first. It is the science that deals with techniques of quantitative analysis useful for selecting a preferable alternative from several technically viable ones. So, ito nga, sabi ko nga kanina, you have to select from all the alternatives possible. So that's the science of engineering economics. And then it involves the systematic evaluation of the economic merits of proposed solutions to engineering problems. So, sabi ko nga, you evaluate. Ano yung advantage ni plan A? Advantage ni plan B? Anong difference? That is how engineering economics works. Evaluation. After formulating all the possible plans or possible solutions, you have to evaluate it one by one. Next, engineering economics. To be economically acceptable, solutions to engineering problems must demonstrate a positive balance of long benefits over long-term costs. So, you have to balance everything. Hindi pwedeng mas lamang si cost kesa dun sa durability ng product or ng service. So, dapat balanse lang. Yung tamang-tama lang. Next, they must also promote the well-being and survival of an organization. Siyempre, tingnan mo din, baka naman masyadong mahal, hindi kaya ni business yung plano mo. O kahit na napakaganda yung plano mo, kung hindi naman niya ma-reach, magda-down naman, magbabankrupt naman yung company kapag pinili niya yung plano mong mahal, 'di ba? So you should think na kailangan mag-survive, 'di ba? Kasi kaya nga nandiyan ka para solusyonan yung problema, hindi para i-down. Okay? Next, embody creative and innovative technology and ideas. Yes, of course. Kailangan din innovative, hindi yung lumang solution. Kailangan sumasabay ka sa uso. Kasi mas magiging flexible or mas magiging madaling baguhin kapag nakasunod sa technology or nakasunod dun sa modern engineering. Next, it is to permit identification and scrutiny of their estimated outcomes. Ito yung pinaka-importante. You have to observe carefully, investigate kung ano yung mga possible outcomes. Kasi baka naman hindi mo nakita kasi feeling mo lang ganyan yung tamang decision. And then, it result to something negative. Merong negative impact. So, hindi magiging maganda lalo na engineer ka tapos yung solution na pinropose mo is hindi effective or worse may negative impact sa dun sa business or dun sa client mo. Next, an engineer who is unprepared to excel at engineering economy is not properly equipped for his or her job. Of course, kung hindi ka maalam sa engineering economy, and then hindi ka hindi ka reliable as engineer. Hindi mo magagawa yung trabaho mo ng maayos. Because nandun tayo sa management, hindi tayo skilled worker. Yes, we are technical people, pero hindi tayo yung mismong gumagawa. We are trained to design or propose a solution for a problem. Okay? Next, what is the importance of engineering? Engineers seek solutions to problems, and the economic viability of each potential solution is normally considered along with technical engineering aspects. Yes, hindi lang tayo provide solutions without, basta masolusyonan mo lang, hindi ganon. You have to consider the economic effects. Kasi baka naman masyadong mahal, hindi kaya ng company or hindi kaya ng client or hindi sulit, sobrang mahal, hindi naman pala sulit. So, you have always to consider the economic effects. So, examples of the application of engineering economy is 1. Choosing the best design for a high-efficiency gas furnace. Selecting the most suitable robot for a welding operation in an automotive assembly line. Making a recommendation about whether jet planes for an overnight delivery service should be purchased or leased. Choosing between reusable and disposable bottles for a brand of beverages. So, kung makikita niyo dito is parang selection of equipment, selection of material, tapos yung mga paggamit ng resources, kung bibili ka ba or renta na lang. So, yan ang mga application ng engineering economy. Ano ba yung mas makakatipid tapos efficient na decision? So, that's our few examples. So, let's discuss the principles of engineering economics. So, first, develop alternatives. Sabi ko nga kanina, when you plan, you have to develop several alternatives or several solutions. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. Okay? Because the final choice or the final decision is among several alternatives. All alternatives must be identified and then defined explicitly for in-depth analysis. So, kailangan explain mo si Plan A, ganito yung plano. Yung very very specific para kapag nag-evaluate ka na is makikita mo lahat ng factors. Next, to focus on differences. So, meron ka ng plano. You have to look at the differences in expected future outcomes among the alternatives. The alternative that makes the biggest beneficial economic difference should be considered in the final decision. So, ibig sabihin, tignan mo ano bang possible outcome ni Plan A compared sa Plan B. Mas maganda ba yung outcome ni Plan C? And then, kung ano yung pinaka-okay economically, and then, yun ang, yun ang masusunod. So, ganon siya. Next is to use a common unit of measure. Of course, when you compare the plans or the alternatives, you have to use a common unit. Hindi pwedeng ang tinignan mo dito is itsura, tapos sa plan B yung performance, tapos sa plan C yung cost. Hindi pwedeng ganon. Kapag nag-compare ka, you have to compare every factors across the plans. For example, sa cost A, cost B, cost C. Sa performance A, performance B, performance C. You have to use a common unit of measure. Next, consider all relevant criteria. So, you have to consider all the factors. Ano ba yung mga criteria mo? Dapat ba sa cost? Pasok ba dapat sa criteria mo yung durability? Next, kung acceptability ng pag-a-applyan ng plano. Next, environmental factors ba? Meron bang dapat weigh yun, yung environmental factors? So, yun nga, you have to consider everything. Hindi pwedeng ang i-consider mo lang is cost lang. Hindi pwede yun, okay? Next, make uncertainty explicit. So, sa plano naman kasi, when you plan, hindi lahat ng outcome is mame-measure mo. You have to consider na may effect na pwedeng hindi mo nakita or hindi mo kayang i-measure. So, kumbaga meron dalawang decision making dyan. Decision under risk at saka decision under uncertainty. When you say decision under risk, you can determine the possible outcome. Okay? Itong decision na to kasi alam ko na kung anong mangyayari. Na-measure ko siya. Kaya ko i-measure kasi nangyari na yan before. At saka may mga facts, may statistics, may mga history, ganyan. Decision under uncertainty, wala talaga. First time. Okay? So, kumbaga, hindi natin alam kung ano yung possible outcome. Yan yung ibig sabihin ng make uncertainty explicit. And then next is usage of a consistent viewpoint. So, kung ano yung viewpoint mo sa plan A, dapat yun din ang viewpoint mo sa plan B at saka sa plan C. Hindi pwedeng iba-iba kasi pag sa ibang aspeto mo tinignan, sa iba-ibang plano, hindi mo siya mako-compare ng maayos. So, you have to be consistent in comparing. Okay? Then, make the best decision taking into account all relevant considerations. So, after the so many steps, you have to make the best decision. Ito na talaga, plan B talaga yung pinakamaganda at pinaka-effective para dito sa project na ito. Taking into account all relevant considerations, hindi pwedeng may na-miss ka, okay? And then, apply mo, nag-decide ka na, you implement it, and then, afterwards, syempre, may makikita ka ng effects, ganyan, ano yung mga nangyari, ano yung mga actual outcomes, and then you revisit the decisions made. Tama ba yung naging decision ko? Kapag hindi, kapag may kailangan pang baguhin, and then next time, alam mo na, hanggang sa ma-perfect mo, hanggang sa paulit-ulit, next time, hindi mo na kailangan gamitin yung lahat ng steps. Intuition na lang. Ganito yan, ito dapat. Alam na natin yan kasi nangyari na yan before. That's how the principles of engineering economics works. Okay? Next. Yan, making decisions. In our everyday lives, nagde-decide tayo. Decision making is already part of our daily lives. From waking up until midnight, until dawn, hanggang matulog. Kasi from nagde-decide ka anong oras ka gigising, 'di ba? Anong kakainin mo? Anong gagawin mo for the day? Saan ka pupunta? What to do? Anong oras ka matutulog? Lahat ng bagay, lahat ng ginagawa mo everyday is your decision. Okay? So, ayan, minsan din, kapag hindi ka nag-decide, plano mo din yon. I mean, decision mo din na hindi mag-decide. So, not choosing is also a choice. Not deciding is also a decision. Okay? So, ayun nga, human nature, lagi gut analysis, intuition. Then, minsan you let people other decide. I mean, you let other people decide for you. Okay? And then, minsan, you don't decide at all. Wala kang gagawin. You just wait. So, that's another choice. Hindi mo sasabing no choice, mami. Hindi. There's no such thing as no choice. 'Di ba? Um, not deciding or choosing something is always a choice. Okay? Next. Sabi nga, when people have the freedom to choose, they choose wrong. Why? Minsan kasi gut feeling na lang, intuition na lang eh, 'di ba? Kahit wala namang basis, sige, feeling ko ito yung tamang decision. Or worse, ang nangyari, they wait, they only wait, okay? Next. So this is the decision pyramid. So, kung makikita nyo sa pyramid, ang pinaka-direct dun sa decision or the most direct influence of the influence sa decision is the preference, okay, or the intuition. Next is the politics or people, okay? Yung preference, parang feeling ko okay itong decision na to, ito na lang. Feeling ko mas maganda tong bag na to, ito na lang. Feeling ko mas maganda tong schedule na to, ito na lang. So, automatic preference agad. Next, yung politics at people, sabi ni boss kasi maganda yung bag na to eh. Sabi kasi ng mama ko, dapat umaga yung schedule ko eh. Yung mga ganon, may mga importanteng tao or influence na nakakaapekto din sa desisyon ng tao. Okay? Indirectly. Kala mo lang, desisyon mo yun, pero na-influence ka pala, katulad ng sa sales representative. O kukulitin ka, boss, maganda to, mura tong sabon na to, tapos mabango pa, ganyan. O, tapos syempre, ang galing mag-sales talk ni ate, tapos maganda pa, o, di bili. 'Di ba? Ganon. Ganon ang nangyayari minsan. And then, facts. 'Di ba? Kung makikita nyo, ang layo na ni facts sa decision. Kasi medyo minsan ang nature talaga ng tao is una gut feel, okay? Then facts, saka na lang nila titingnan yung mga facts, and then yung cost, statistics, history, market research, expert opinion, blah blah blah. Okay. Sa tingin natin ganun yung nangyayari, but it's the other way around. Okay? It's the other way around. Akala nyo lang ganun. Kaya tayo nagkakaroon ng intuition or gut feel kasi na-experience na natin before, ganyan. O, ganito siya nangyayari. Nagkaroon ng cost, alam mo na yung presyo, statistics, meron nang nangyari before, market research, expert opinion, and blah blah blah. And then, nagiging facts to. Kasi paulit-ulit na nangyayari, so nagiging facts na siya, nagiging true. Pag sinabi mong facts, true information na siya. So, itong information na to, syempre mababasa yan ng mga influential people. Magiging basis na yan ng politics. O, kumbaga, yung boss mo, dahil alam niya tong mga facts na to, dahil nagbabasa siya, o kaya alam na niya, kaya yun na yung influensya ngayon. Ngayon, dahil ma-influensya silang tao, maapektuhan lang, syempre boss mo yun eh. 'Di ba? Oo nga, feeling ko nga, ganyan. Kasi sabi ni boss. O, 'di ba? Hanggang maging preference mo na rin siya. Kasi may basis na eh. Kahit nga si boss eh, kaya ganun na yung preference niya. Kasi, na-experience na before, may mga stated facts na dyan, may history na, may nakasulat na. Kumbaga, nasa libro na yan. Kaya, automatic, yun na yung decision nila. Kahit si sales representative na nagbebenta ng sabon, baka kaya promote siya ng promote. Kasi baka nga talaga mabango. Tapos yung nabili niyang brand before is mabaho. Kaya talaga ang galing niyang mag-promote, 'di ba? Hanggang naapektuhan ka na din, hanggang maging preference na rin siya, 'di ba? Kaya yun ay nagiging decision. So that's how the decision pyramid works. Minsan nakala lang natin baliktad siya. Pero ang totoo talaga, mag-uumpisa tayo sa foundation. Hanggang sa automatic na yan. Pag ganito yung nangyari, ganito yung gagawin ko. Pag ganito yung nangyari, ito yung pipiliin ko. So, that's how the decision pyramid works. And then next, the modeling process. Itong modeling process, alam naman natin sa real world ay complicated ang lahat. Ang daming details na titingnan, ang daming mga bagay na i-consider. So, ang ginagawa ng tao na nagde-decide, ang ginagawa ng engineer na nagde-decide, kukuha siya ng something specific, 'di ba? Yung real world, tingnan mo yung shape niya, napaka-ambiguous. Hindi mo masukat, masyadong masyadong kalat yung shape niya, 'di ba? So anong gagawin? Anong gagawin ng isang engineer or ng isang decision maker? Kukuha lang siya ng model from that real world. Ito lang yung kailangan kong factors. Ito lang titingnan ko. Then you analyze. 'Di ba? So from the real world, tapos analysis, magiging model siya. So ang input from the real world, information from the real world, and then your analysis, magiging square siya, definite size. Kaya nga model eh. Kasi definite na siya. Siya yung tinitingala, ito na yun, okay. And then, decision making. Tapos, outcome after decision, na-decide na-implement na. Yung outcome, anong nangyari? Balik tayo sa real world. May mali ba akong nagawa? O tama ba? Kapag may mali kang nagawa, balik ka ulit sa real world, extra ka ulit. Hindi ko nakuha tong factor na to, kailangan pala extract. Gawa ka ulit ng model, analyze, then apply. Okay na ba? Pag okay na, ibig sabihin, perfect na si model mo. Ganun siya. That's how this modeling process figure works. Okay? So, next, ito na po yung self-assessment question natin. We have 4. The format will be uploaded sa files tab, class materials, and then templates. Okay? Ito pa naman ay wala pa namang submission. Sabi ko nga doon sa class orientation natin, it will be due after module 1. So, hindi naman kailangan i-submit agad. And, wag mo na magsasubmit kasi gagawa ako ng assignment tab or link para dito. Okay? And then, tapos na. You have to prepare for our short quiz later at 5 o'clock. It is available from 5 to 6 p.m. So, I hope you learned well for this lecture.